Hi, this is Rebecca from My Narcoleptic Life. I have a video today. This is going to be the first video in a series talking about the symptoms of narcolepsy and what it looks like for me and a little bit about how I treat it. So I'm going to dedicate each video to a different symptom, except this one is the only one that will have two symptoms. And I'll just talk a little bit about what it's like for me and my experience and a little bit about how I treat it. Of course, my disclaimer, I am not a doctor or a medical professional of any kind. I was diagnosed with narcolepsy about 7 years ago, and so this is just my experience to share a little bit more information about what it's like to live with narcolepsy. I'm looking down at my notes. I do take notes just so I don't lose my train of thought. So let's start with the definition of the symptom that I'm going to talk about first, which is excessive sleepiness, or sometimes called excessive daytime sleepiness. I'm going to start by reading the National Sleep Foundation's definition because I like it. It says people have excessive sleepiness, feel drowsy and sluggish most days, and these symptoms often interfere with work, school, activities, or relationships. Although patients with this condition often complain of fatigue, excessive sleepiness is different from fatigue, which is characterized by low energy and the need to rest, not necessarily sleep. Excessive sleepiness is also different from depression, in which a person may have a reduced desire to do normal activities, even the ones they used to enjoy. So sleepiness is a need to literally nap, as opposed to fatigue, which is to just rest. For example, if you're running, you get fatigued, you would need to stop and rest, but not necessarily nap before you finish the run. Depression is a decreased desire to do things, that you just don't have the interest that you once had. Narcolepsy is often misdiagnosed as depression. You can, of course, have both. If you're experiencing any of those things, definitely see your doctor. But sleepiness is more like a need to nap. So that was their definition. So from my definition, what I compare it to is if you've ever had kids or seen videos of very young children, even toddlers up to like 8-ish, they're just sleepy all the time. And so they'll be really engaged and really excited in a task, like they're eating spaghetti and it's the time of their lives, or they're at Disney, and just you can tell that they're fighting sleep the whole time. Like they're so tired, even though they're having fun, and sometimes they'll eventually just put their head down and rest, right? They will go to sleep. That's what I feel like all the time, even though I'm an adult. I can be having a great time doing things, fun things with people that I enjoy, and the need to sleep is just so overwhelming. And sometimes I can't fight it, and that's what I call a sleep attack, which is the other symptom I'll talk about today. The way that excessive sleepiness affects my life is, again, I'm just sleepy all the time. Certain tasks make it worse. If it's a little bit more sedentary or monotonous, I definitely will feel sleepier. For example, like taking notes in a meeting or during like class, yeah, that makes me really sleepy. Movies, car rides make me tired. Just anytime I sit still for too long. So there's certain places that like I'll fall asleep frequently when I'm a passenger in a car, at the beach, just resting on the beach. I've fallen asleep at theme parks, Disney World, Universal Studios, Busch Gardens, you name it, I've slept there. It's just so, I'm exhausted in a way that it's hard to describe. Excessive sleepiness is the symptom that led me to finally seek a diagnosis, and it's the most common and the most profound symptom for most people, or for a lot, I won't say for most, but for a lot of people with narcolepsy. However, the reason that people don't always take it seriously is because feeling sleepy or to feel tired is a totally normal part of the human experience, particularly the adult experience. And sleepiness is a very personal experience, or to feel tired. Lots of people feel tired, but how do I know what a normal tired feels like compared to somebody else's tired? I've seen a lot of statistics in some of the narcolepsy articles saying that sleepiness, the way I perceive it, is similar to a normal person staying awake for like 3 days. It's like 36 or 72 hours would be the equivalent of what I would experience, which is a lot. It definitely affects my life, and that was why I went to get treatment. So, just really briefly, I want to talk a little bit about how I treat it. I'm going to do a separate video on everything I do to treat my narcolepsy, both the prescription drug treatments that I've used, as well as some of the more natural things that I do. But really briefly, right out of the gate, first thing I ever tried, beyond just like drinking 6 Red Bulls a day, don't recommend that, please don't do that, is that my doctor, after I was diagnosed, prescribed me with a amphetamine. So I started with Ritalin. I've also had prescriptions for Adderall and Dexedrine or dextroamphetamine. I do rotate through them occasionally because you will kind of build up a tolerance to those, and that's primarily the prescription fix. I also do a few other things, and again, I'm going to make a whole different video on all of the things that I do to help keep me awake. So I also mentioned I was going to talk about sleep attacks. I'm not going to read you a definition for sleep attacks because there's kind of not one. This is a term that you're going to see a lot if you're in any Facebook support groups or a similar support forum. A sleep attack is kind of a joking / serious term that people with narcolepsy often use, but it's not necessarily something you see frequently in the medical space, I guess. So when you are really sleepy, sometimes when I'm experiencing the excessive sleepiness, I can fight it. I will either take my medication. If it's time for my medication, I'll get up and walk or chew some gum or something. But there are other times I can't fight it. I have to take a nap. This is not an option. And so a sleep attack is when I can't take anymore and I just lean my head back and I'm out for 20 minutes, 2 hours, until somebody wakes me up, who knows. But it's when I just cannot control it anymore and I cannot force myself to stay awake any longer. And again, going back to the reference of like toddlers or kids, and you see them like eating and they're having so much fun with the spaghetti and then they fall asleep in the spaghetti. I'm kind of like that. That's kind of what a sleep attack is. When I experience it, now, especially now that I know what it is and I have been dealing with this for 6 or 7 years, I know it's coming most of the time. I'm not shocked by this. I know that I'm going to fall asleep. There's certain times when I know I can fight the sleepiness, and there's times when I know I'm not going to win that fight, and I need to take a nap. For me, it feels like a slow process. Like I'm really sleepy, and I'm fighting the sleepy, and then and then I take a nap. That feels to me like a 15-minute process. People with narcolepsy tend to not judge time well when they're sleepy or when they're falling asleep. Friends and family have told me it's about a 2-minute process. My sleep study confirmed I fall asleep in a matter of like 1 to 3 minutes. So I definitely feel it's coming, but I don't necessarily have time to share that information. Quick example, I was at a friend's house, and there was like 4 of us, but 2 people walked out of the room, so it was just me and my friend. And he was telling me a story when I realized I was really sleepy. And I knew it was one that I was going to fall asleep. And so I was like fighting to like stay awake just long enough for him to finish the story. And literally the moment one of a different friend walked in the room, I leaned my head back and went to sleep because it was no longer rude. One of the things that is interesting and kind of funny for me about sleep attacks is how high my level of not caring is. I don't care where I am, who I'm hanging out with, what's going on. I'm taking a nap. Leave me alone. And I think that people with narcolepsy build up a sense of humor and a little bit of a tough skin, because I've fallen asleep at theme parks and restaurants and with friends, and I just don't care that I'm in public, and maybe it's embarrassing to sleep with my mouth open or drool a little bit because I'm tired. And seriously, my level of not caring is just, I don't care. I'm going to sleep and I'm going to take a nap. So I think that one of the myths about sleep attacks and about narcolepsy is that I'm just going to drop any second snoring on the ground. And that's not true. I know it's coming. Sometimes I know well enough in advance that I can say something to somebody. Most of the time, again, my level of not caring is pretty high. So most of the time, I just lay down, especially if I'm with certain friends. People who've been around me a lot, friends and family, they know. There's signs that I am very sleepy and that it's coming, and they'll kind of leave me be, or they'll say, like my mom will say, "You're about to go to sleep. Do you want me to wake you up?" And so if I do, if I want to fight the sleep attack, I'll say yes, and she'll keep me talking or shake me or give me some gum or whatever. And sometimes I'm like, nope, let me sleep, and she does. So if someone in your life has narcolepsy and they're experiencing that, maybe try something like that. Definitely learn to read their signs. They probably know what the signs are to some extent. Ask them when they're awake, not while they're experiencing it, because they don't care while they're experiencing it. For me, once I start to lean back, like the lower I get in my chair, that's a good sign that one is coming. My cheeks kind of, I feel like, hang down a little, like my face gets kind of slack, and I just look sleepy. I have a face. I lean my head on things. That's a common thing for me. So either on a wall or the seatbelt in the car, I'll lean it back on the headrest, or I'll just put my chin down on my chest. I stabilize my head in some way before I go to sleep. That's common. There's just a few things that I do. Talk slower, blink slower, or I don't respond. That they know it's coming. So it is manageable, partially because I know what it is. I know how to treat it with medication and with some more natural things. Again, I'll talk about that in a different video. I definitely still experience it, and I would say it's still one of the strongest symptoms for me. It's the daily confirmation, like, yep, you still have narcolepsy. It didn't go anywhere. That was a good diagnosis. Some of the other narcolepsy symptoms I experience a little more, a little less. They're not as life-altering. The sleepiness and the sleep attacks is top two, for sure. Those two are in the top two, along with probably my number one would be brain fog. It definitely affects my life, but again, I've learned a lot about it, and I think that that's had a huge impact. So if you're experiencing this excessive sleepiness, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, it doesn't always mean that you have narcolepsy. A lot of people experience it, and I was reading about it on the National Sleep Foundation whenever I was getting ready to make this video, and let's see. It says excessive sleepiness is not a disorder in itself. It's a serious symptom that can have many different causes. Common causes are poor sleep habits, a sleep disorder like sleep apnea or narcolepsy. Side effects from some of your medications can cause it, and other underlying conditions. There are certainly other things that this is like a side effect or a symptom of that condition. So if you're feeling really sleepy, definitely talk to your general practitioner about it, and mention, is this an average level of sleepiness, and what can I do? And track it too. Track your times of day and when you're experiencing it. So I think that's all I have to say about excessive sleepiness. I'm feeling a little sleepy right now, so maybe I'll go take a nap.
Hey guys, editing Rebecca here. Apparently I really was feeling sleepy at the end of filming this because there's like not an outro, not really sure what happened, and I feel like there should be some sort of conclusion at the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'm sorry I didn't film a proper outro, and follow my channel. There will be more videos to come. Let me know if you have any specific requests, and have a great day. I hope you enjoyed it.